is like the last thing that comes to my mind when like thinking of like how do we help students, because not only the socioeconomic like question comes to mind, but then also just like what kind of message does that send to people? Like you have to pay extra to reserve the right to have like a dingle, like that's a bit dumb. And so there are so many other better ways to screen for this, like essays. I hate it myself, but you know, like language houses have essays, you know, we love essays around here. Write like a written rationale. That's the only one I can think of right now, but like paying another fee just like restricts access even more, and then just goes against so many of the like inclusive, accessible messages that like we love to say here at Grinnell. And it seems a bit hypocritical and just really badly thought up, like not bad intention, but just not very thoughtful when thinking about like, okay, who can now have access to this? What is the process that they'll have to pay for this? What about students that have to pay for their entire tuition? Like, how are they gonna fork up an extra fee to like live alone for very valid reasons? You know, like that is the least viable screening option that I think should be proposed at a conversation.
Okay, Senator Houston, Senator Curtis, and then head back. Yes.
Yeah, I was actually going to say something really similar to what Lana said, where it's like, I can see, like, if this fee thing is to be put into place, which I just definitely recommend against and don't think should happen, I think that there should be situations where you can forego the fee with like a rationale or something like that.
Okay, Senator Curtis?
Adding on to what H.R. was saying, I think that for the situation, the goal shouldn't be to entirely reduce these abuse dingles. I think we just have to accept that in this system there's going to be some people who are going to misuse the situation. So I don't think we should be putting other people like at like fault for having some people abuse it and putting in this system where there's a fee or this is really a hard process. So I think there should be some screening, but I feel like we just have to understand that it's a system and the system's gonna have to break at some point, but the goal should be harm reduction, not complete effectiveness.
Awesome. Tucker and then Gracie. Okay, Gracie.
I think I agree with a lot of like what's been said, especially recently. And thinking, but I do have questions just kind of about where this fits in with the accommodation process, and as part of this, just like too many people are trying to get accommodations, and so like trying to get accommodations when they shouldn't actually be getting them, and also like now they're wiggling into other there's some small element of this where it's like, if I don't know, I don't like the idea, but I am thinking about like how overloaded and difficult the accessibility and like accommodation process is, and like if there are ways to prevent its abuse and misuse by like offering an alternative, where like students who don't have an accommodation can go. I don't know. It just feels yucky, and I agree with honestly, ultimately with what Lana's saying, especially. I'm sorry. I'm not used to my son to speak. What H. is saying, because also like it just gives this weird element to like the entire resident's life situation, where now like, you know, we already have the whole like housing inequality on a massive scale in the United States. I don't think we need to replicate it on this campus. I had another point that was like more something else, but I forgot it, so that's just FYI. That was why I started talking, because otherwise this didn't contribute anything new to the conversation.
Word. Okay, Senator Blackstone, and then H.
Last point I'm going to make. This is very similar to like the argument used for like welfare queens, and just like the argument that, you know, like some people abuse the system and we should, you know, like crack down on it, which has very racist, classist, and ableist roots. And I feel like those at Risk Life Committee or whoever should know, at least like have a basic knowledge of just history in general. And so I'm just kind of like really frustrated with even the proposal of that.
Accommodations, like when we're working with disability resources, are already difficult enough to receive. And honestly, I think there's enough bullshit in residence halls that people, like, they shouldn't have to honestly calls are just fucking filthy, and it's really disgusting. And there are people who are community advisors who don't actually care about wellness. And for Red Life to want to just charge more students, it's quite laughable and it's quite disgusting. When there are other things that they could actually focus on. And it's the methods that they're choosing, it really fucks over low-income and marginalized students rather than the people who actually do disrespect our community, not abuse the system. They just don't have respect for other people's spaces. And I do think that's where Red Life needs to put their energy, and you can tell them that I said that.
Word and a half, okay. Vice Chair Patel.
This is another policy proposed idea that's playing more into the like pay your way Grinnell. You know, like if you could just give more money, then you can have like this sort of better experience. And I think us as students, most of us fundamentally disagree with those changes that are happening at the institution. And so if, you know, I know you go to these meetings and you have a really big seat at the table, and I really hope that you use that to like advocate for like, no one really wants this. Like an extra tuition fee on top of everything else that happens here is just really distasteful.
I guess I'm happy to continue this conversation with any and all of you. I'm wondering if it's, I'm pretty sure what's gonna happen, but like I feel like a campus, like an informal vote in Senate would be really helpful for me to bring that to the table at the committee and be like, look, this is a terrible idea. Can I propose that as a motion?
Yes, if you give more information about what specific stance.
Motion to vote on whether that's a good idea. Whether charging students.
The surcharge thing.
Yeah, whether charging students for room consolidation, even giving them the option of charging students for room consolidation is a good idea.
Okay.
Determine what yes and no mean on that.
So yes, it's a good idea, no, it's a terrible idea.
Okay, awesome. Are there any further questions before we vote on this, kind of the stance of the Senate? Yes.
When does this committee meet, and like, are we allowed to attend these sessions?
As far as it meets every other Wednesday? Thursday, at 10 a.m. I can email that out to the committee.
11.
At 11. I think it's not open to the student body because it's kind of like an administrative committee, but Vidusha and I both sit on it. I think Lauren Myers and Dennis Perkins would be happy to meet with any of you, and I would actually encourage you to email them as well as like meet with them about it, or like I can do that for you guys either way.
Okay, awesome. So the vote, just to be clear, is about the stance of the Senate on the surcharge. Yes is in like support of the surcharge option. B is in opposition to the surcharge option. Yeah. All right, that overwhelmingly is, the stance has been decided to disapprove of the surcharge option. Cool, great discussion, y'all. Any last things about, dare I say it, VPSA Anon's cabinet report? Yes, Senator Christian, then Senator Meyer.
I was just wondering what the belonging and persistence steering committee is.
The Belonging and Steering Persistence Committee is a room full of very powerful people on campus. It's a steering committee that's an initiative of Dean Ann Harris, and it's an institutional effort to look into belonging at the institution. They are going to be reviewing a set of reports from a lot of the reports actually that Tucker mentions from time to time. Reports about mental health, reports about like different demographics of students, reports about thriving, etc. and kind of assigning different divisions on our campus which are represented on that committee, everything from admissions to registrar to faculty to CLS. There's like 25 people in that committee. It's very ineffective. And charging different divisions with implementing changes that will hopefully make campus a better place. That's what that is.
Senator Nair and then Senator Curtis. Do you have something to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's just something in rest life, like in my experience here, like I feel like it's really easy for roommates to just switch out and like go live with their friends. Like they kind of like, you know, abuse the system where they don't really have any problem with their roommate, but then they act like they have a problem, and then it's like really easily taken off. Like I've not seen any like case where like they've declined the roommate from switching off and going somewhere else, you know. So then like maybe Resda should do like a policy where they actually like get the roommates together and see like let them work together, you know, like because in the start of the semester, like me and my roommate weren't getting along, and I could just switch out and gone somewhere else. But in a while, like I realized that he's an amazing person and like we really work well together. So I feel like things should be like happen where the two roommates should like consolidate and actually see and put their differences aside and maybe go work that way, and rather than just switch and like move in with a friend, you know, because it leaves the other person like empty-handed, alone in that room with nobody else like actually switch with.
Thanks.
Okay, word, yes, BPA Wallach.
Sorry, I just remembered the one thing that I was gonna say, which was like, in conversations that we had last semester about early, like, students needing to leave campus right after their finals were done, would end up not happening, so we had lots of conversations with them, but like, I think that there's a lot of questions about like, our rights as students and tenants, and being clear of like, you know, like when we are made to leave campus earlier, are we getting our dates separated? No, we're not, because we're paying like this overall cost of room and board. And so like I think that there needs to be a clear, like we can't be on halfway teetering on like we are tenants with rights and we're renters, and like we're not. Like I think that there just needs to be a clear line that the students and administration understand about like, yeah, what rights we have and what's going on with the housing process, because these conversations are, yeah.
Yes, Brandon.
In some rooms, there are ants. There are roaches. There are people who shit in laundry machines. There are people who smear shit on walls. There are, in South and North don't even have air conditioning. People are sweating because it's very hot during the summer months. I honestly think if people want better living arrangements, and they just want to be by themselves and not have a roommate, if they want to do whatever they can to get whatever resources and accommodations that they can in however way that they need them, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, because there's no reason for us to be living in the conditions that we do. There's mold. Why are we inhaling mold?
Cool. All right, any further comments about, yes?
And about the belonging, and persistence steering committee, what changes? Because you said that they were going to implement like changes in divisions. What are they going to
Yeah, so the first meeting was just introductions. I will provide updates as I know. But for right now, I'm not really sure. Kind of the consensus from last meeting was they'd like the committee to focus on spaces on campus. And that's a pretty broad kind of charge that we'll delve into at the next meeting. But at this point, I really don't know.
Do you have any ideas, like personally?
For what they should do, I'm only there as like an observer. But yeah, no, I have absolutely no idea why they're doing it and what they're hoping to achieve. I guess like the information I do have is it's like going to be a multi-year long project, and the hope is to like, I don't know, I think one example that I brought up was like how spaces are often like I give the example of Shake and the BCC and like Bob's and Lyle's, and how like continually we see spaces being promoted on campus which are like expensive ass academic buildings, and all the social spaces and affinity like based spaces that like serve as like safe spaces for certain identities are being shut down. And we were talking about that for a little bit. We were also talking about, I think there were like someone from the education, career community, as well as Holly Repke from athletics. They brought up the point about kind of the fact that that room was really white, and how like some of the, and like even the people of color in the room were kind of sidelined, and so like the conversation that needs to be centered around people of color's experiences around belonging on our campus, and kind of looking through that lens. But really it was mostly like a meeting where people were kind of providing perspectives, and no consensus was reached.
Okay, I would say in those meetings, I'm gonna ask you to ask them what they're doing specifically for Black women on this campus.
Sure.
Anyone on this? So you guys, no? Okay. Awesome. This is all lovely discussion, very much appreciated.